Hello YouTubers, that's if I am talking to any YouTubers who've had the courage to click onto a video of this length, and I guess I'm sort of committing YouTube suicide here, but never mind, nothing lasts forever, and none of us get more than our 15 minutes of attention, so so be it. Anyway, somebody asked a question in a recent video and said, did I, presumably we, make a lot of money out of the Zimmers? Well, a quick answer to that is no. Not only didn't we make any money, but also we were involved in personal expenses in doing it. When the My Generation video was passed over to the record company to market it, of course, as we went to various events, we did sell quite a lot of records, but the expenses, I think, far outweighed the income, and in any case, any profits that might have been made were going to be paid to charities that supported elderly people. So really that has always been the reason for us doing it, and really to raise awareness of the problems and the plight of old people. So that was always our incentive to do all of the things that we did, and that is why I have attached to the video the lengthy film that the BBC made called The Zimmers Go to Hollywood, and in that that feature is much better explained than I can. When the time came for the record company to make an album, then that's a very expensive thing to do, and they always maintained that it cost them money to do it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but we certainly never received any income from the things that we did. But yes, I said that wasn't the reason for doing it, and so what? I mean, who wouldn't enjoy performing and having the audience like you and applaud? It's only the same thing as everybody does here on YouTube too, for the pleasure of the attention that we get. But in our case, I do believe that we did make a difference, and that is why we did it. But for myself, living in the north of England and most things happening in the south, then expenses of travelling down to events and to airports and things had a cost involved, but of course, you know, and nobody's grumbling about that. We did it for our 15 minutes of fame, if you like. So if you care to look at the film of the Zimmers Going to Hollywood, I think you will enjoy it, and I'll see you again next time. So for the moment, as usual, goodbye.
4 months ago, we set about making a film about what it's like being old in Britain today. We found many who are lonely and forgotten, cast aside by society.
Hello, Joan and Tim.
82-year-old Joan had been stuck indoors since a bad fall 3 years ago.
When I have left the flat, it's only ever for something like that. The doctors, the dentist, you know, I haven't been for pleasure.
99-year-old Winnie was a serial care home mover. She just couldn't find one that felt right. Is she your best customer?
Yes, one of the most regular ones, definitely, anyway, yes.
Over the last decade, she'd moved care homes 16 times. Boredom drove Winnie from her last home. How do you feel about leaving this place?
Nothing but joy.
27 to 727.
And 90-year-old Alf was facing the closure of his local bingo club, which meant there'd be nowhere to meet his friends.
I'm going to lose these people when that closes because I've got to find new friends. And at our ages, it's so difficult.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get all... So we thought we'd try and get these cast-aside old people heard again. And what better way than record a charity single and try and storm the charts. All we had to do was convince them we were serious. I think somebody's having a heart attack. Eventually, 40 pensioners took a leap of faith and came together at the world-famous Abbey Road studios to record a cover version of The Who's My Generation. The name of their band, the Zimmers.
People try to put us down. Because we get around. Things they do look.
It was a day when people made friends and came alive again.
I've never kissed a husband in 1 year.
What's more, it looked like we might even have a decent single on our hands.
Thank you so much.
And when we made the video available online, it proved a sensation. 2 million people watched it in the first few days. Suddenly, the whole world was talking about them.
Tonight, England's newest musical sensation, the Zimmers.
A Inglaterra é grupo de jovens senhores.
À la mascotte du groupe Winfred.
4 days before the single was released, it seemed like we might have a hit in the making. As Zimmer mania began to take off, life was changing dramatically for Joan. We were on our way to her first live television appearance to publicise the single. Are you enjoying the limelight?
Of course, absolutely I am, yeah. Can't you see big sparkle over the top of me?
Has any of this in any way changed you, do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I go anywhere now. I mean, I can talk to anyone. I'm not shy and now, like I used to be.
Though she lived in the heart of London, this visit to the TV studio was Joan's first trip to the Thames in years.
Oh, it's beautiful, the air out there. Really lovely.
Our lead singer Alf was on his way to join Joan and the other Zimmers live on ITV's This Morning show, and he was starting to feel the nerves.
I'm feeling a little, a few butterflies, actually, but I think they'll soon go. I've had those before when I've been going on in the theatre, you know, I've been doing the amateur dramatics as I used to do. And before you go on, there's just that little flutter, but once you're on, that's it, lovely.
Meanwhile, 99-year-old Winifred was already at the TV studio and cozying up to 100-year-old Buster.
I bet you've had a ride.
Cool, I could run and all, come on.
Rockstar prima. But when Alf finally arrived, he was having none of it.
Come on, you two. Move apart, I've got to sit in between you. I'm going to break you up now.
When you speak, people, speak a bit more civil.
Sorry,
He split them up. Then it was time to pull together for their first live performance on British television.
Now, crossing over to the other side of the studio, we have the Zimmers! Hey!
But not everyone in the band had reason to celebrate. Al's friend Rose was feeling isolated since the bingo hall closed. Now the group of friends had gone their separate ways after 30 years together, and she was stuck in a routine of sandwiches and daytime TV.
I miss Alf because I used to sit and talk to Alf. I do miss Alf.
But today Rose and Ivy were about to see Alf for the first time since the bingo hall closed down. They were heading off to join Alf and the rest of the Zimmers on the set of the Graham Norton show. Do you recognise these rock stars?
Well, they're rock
They've got a single coming out on Monday.
Yeah, I remember from the bingo pitch.
Yeah. You're going to buy their single on Monday?
Yeah, I'll buy a single, darling.
Buy the Zimmers single, yeah?
Yeah. See you later. Have a good day. See you later, women. Later.
See? Well, the respect you're getting on the street now.
A nip job.
We'll have a little sit down.
Okay.
Just waiting for everyone to turn up. For once, Alfred got to the TV studio early, as he awaited the reunion with his old bingo pals. You're looking forward to seeing Rose and Ivy?
Oh, I'm certainly looking forward to how they are, you know. I haven't seen them for quite a time out there. I really have missed them. Well, I missed them all. Nice to see you. And you went over that? Yeah. Lovely to see you. How you getting on?
Hello, Zimmers. Stoned out of their minds. When you're in hotel rooms and things, have you ever kind of, broken anything in a hotel room?
Not a smash up.
Listen, do you want to have a go at smashing up your dressing room a bit there for us now?
Where do you want me to smash up?
Smash whatever you like, love. Do the television, the television!
Ray smashed the place up. Brilliantly. They're going mad and they're loving it.
Even after the show ended, they kept going.
Some sort of inner animal being released to everyone.
Smashing.
That was fun, wasn't it?
It reminds me of our young days.
Really? Oh, you
Mummy.
really good.
Finally, the day of the record's release. The Zimmers had come to Woolworths to launch the CD. With Woolies selling more singles than any other high street shop, their support was a real voice of confidence in the band.
You don't have to sit there and fade away.
And everywhere the band went, press from all over the world were close on their heels.
I never thought anything like this would happen to poor old me.
If we wanted to come and see you in Derbyshire, would that be possible?
Of course. What is it like to get attention from other people, from other generations?
Actually, it's amazing. I don't know what to say. Still, Robert.
It's Ilkeston, Derbyshire.
Ilkeston, Derbyshire.
Just because we're getting on here, don't mean to say we're all funny, Daddy.
Hi there, how you doing?
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
No,
Thank you so much.
I didn't realise you were following us, but great, great. But then we hit a major problem. With the single in the shops and just days before the first chart position was released, Neil from the record company had some bad news.
We're struggling with radio. It's not the sort of song that radio are just going to pick up and run with. It's not in their minds an immediate hit.
Does it look like any radio stations are going to put this on their playlist?
No. It's a novelty track, and that's how they're seeing it, whereas what we need to do is try and convince them that it's more than that, or if at least it is seen as a novelty track, that it's one worth playing. So we do need to find a champion. We need to find something that can help us out. There's nothing.
Without radio play, our chances of breaking into the charts seem to be slipping away. With time running out, band member Dolores went to meet a man she hoped would champion the Zimmers cause, veteran DJ Tony Blackburn.
There's no other reason why they're not playing it. It's because it's their elderly people. Yes, you well know it happened with Cliff Richard. They wouldn't play his records once he got to a certain age. It was okay before he got to that certain age. As soon as he reached that age, no more. Fighting for the cause. Hello. Hello. Hello.
It was Tony Blackburn who got pensioner Cliff Richard back on air. Dolores was hoping he'd do the same for the Zimmers.
I like your record.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. well,
Having trouble getting it played though, eh?
Yeah. Do you actually think all the DJs around and the production lot think it's the age this is the reason why they're not interested in playing this song?
I think it probably does have something to do with it, yes.
DJs should take a firmer look at these elderly and say, come on, you've done a lot for this country, we'll give you something back, what you've given us over all these years.
Oh yeah, I actually agree. I wish I was a program controller so I could put the record in.
It looked like the Zimmers would have to take things into their own hands. Top radio stations were refusing to play the record. One DJ apparently said old people smelled of wee, so the band decided to call the stations themselves. First up was Norma.
Yes, I am your worst nightmare. Have you heard of this record, the Zimmers?
Well, I'm wondering why you're not playing our record. I'd love to know why Chris Mills don't play the record.
We don't actually choose our own music. It's centrally controlled.
Oh, well, don't they know about it?
Now, we're singing up for your top. What about a bit of lemon fruit?
Serious airplay looking like a lost cause, the band were going to have to go into publicity overdrive if there was any chance of making it into the top 40. The Daily Telegraph's fashion director, Hilary Alexander, has done shoots with iconic bands like Blur in the Darkness. But what could she do with this lot?
Oh, will you look what she's got? Go truckers
Back in her flat, Joan had turned down the chance for a fashion makeover. Some days, the old shyness was still there.
No sparrows. But I wish we could get the dear little sparrows back. They've gone forever. They have. Yes.
At the shoot, Rose and Ivy also seemed reluctant to join in the publicity drive.
I'm not just enough. No, sometimes. Come on, it'll be fun. Now, first of all, we need to get you into a pair of leggings. Jeans. Doesn't want jeans, doesn't want leggings. What about an ethnic dress with nice tights? How about that? What size is it? Your size. But can we not have the camera while Ivy's getting changed? Please. Yeah, thanks very much. How about a bit of leather? There you are, now you're like a Hell's Angel.
Oh, charming.
There you go. Okay, here we go. Into the camera.
Clearly going to take more than a makeover to get the radio stations to play their record, but the rest of the media couldn't get enough of them. It seemed the Zimmers story had really struck a chord with the country.
Behind the laughs and the autographs, the Zimmers are spreading a serious message.
They are standing up for almost 10 million people in Britain over the age of 65, 1/6 of the population,
who fears being erased from national life.
The success of the Zimmers will force politicians to wake up.
Let's hope this is the start of a new trend, a fight back by the Wrinkleys.
And then some extraordinary news. 3 of the band were invited onto the top American talk show. The special guests would be the Zimmers and George Clooney. Lead singer Alf was preparing for his first ever trip to the States.
Today I would have been shopping, have a sandwich perhaps, gone to bingo, had my dinner and that's it. That's my lot. That's what I would do nearly every day practically. How did this happen? I sang a little song for somebody, and this is what's happened. It's just beyond dreams almost.
Norma Walker was determined to look her best for Hollywood's most desirable leading man.
Look at this. When George Clooney see me in this, he must come over and shake my hands. I buy this specially for him. That's the one he's going to take off. George, here I come.
For Winifred Warburton, a long-haul journey had been a long time in coming.
We fly tomorrow about 10:30.
Yes. To Los Angeles.
And it'll be so different from that fun little plane I went in 1927.
Was that the last time you flew?
The only time I've ever flown.
In 1927?
When I got into the plane, I sat in the passenger seat like this, and he said, "Open your legs." and it was what they called the joystick. So all the time I was ringing from one cheek to the other to avoid this blessed thing. And of course, tomorrow it will be so different.
I think it's marginal. I think planes have come on a little bit in 80 years.
Oh, I'm sure. But
so you've got your fancy hat.
I've got my hat, and it really does look rather nice, I think.
That's lovely.
And of course, it's nice and shady as well. People try to put us down, talking about my generation.
Have a nice trip.
Yes, thank you, dear. Ta-ta, young man.
Do be careful.
All the best.
Bye, dear. Bye, dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be careful, have a good trip.
Yes, thank you.
You'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. I don't know when I'll be back again.
The planes I saw as we were sitting in the lounge looked like silver fish gliding through the air. And then when I saw this huge plane waiting for us, oh dear, I could hardly believe that I was going on it.
90-year-olds, we're all right. We're still going. These youngsters, they can't take it.
As some of the Zimmers headed off to California to break America, back in Britain, it was the day of reckoning. The new Top 40 singles chart was about to be announced. Joan was on tenterhooks.
Nice, yeah,
Welcome to the chart today, the Zimmers.
And then, on came the Zimmers, and they'd stormed straight into the top 30.
26.
I don't think we have anything to be ashamed of, because 26 is down in the 20s, still in the 20s. There's nothing to be ashamed of. When you get to that part in the middle where I say generation and all, and I felt myself putting my whole heart and soul into it. And it's a nice tune. It's a catchy tune. You know, you feel you want to sort of hum it whenever the mood takes you and that. And that, this funny thing is music.
In Los Angeles, the Zimmers were off sightseeing to celebrate their chart success. Certainly has materialised.
You guys are right? Yeah, we are the Zimmers. We're afraid.
Zimmer mania had well and truly reached America.
So what do you think the band are going to be like? They're going to be on J-Lane now on Tuesday.
Perfect.
I'll start lead singer.
Nice to meet you. Very cute.
Thank you.
I dig your hat.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen Fake Breasts before like that?
Fake breasts. This is fake, I think so.
Yeah, I didn't look. I've been stopped.
Cheers. Cheers. Whilst Alf was mixing with the bikini-clad beauties of Malibu, Joan was off to a day centre for the elderly. It might not be the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, but it was a huge step for a woman who, before joining the band, had hardly left her flat for 3 years.
Did you like bananas, Nell? Nell, do you like bananas? I don't like them. Oh, well, I can't give them to you then, can I? It's like a banana and the next day when you look, it's all black.
Thing is, lover, you don't eat it the next day, you eat it when you've got it.
Yeah.
Not wait for it to get black.
Well, I like it because I'm with people, mixing with people, and that's the main thing. That's the main thing. When you're stuck on your own, 4 walls, it's awful. You start talking to yourself.
It's company.
And it's the greatest thing, that is. There's nothing to beat company.
It was the day of the big show for Alf and the girls in LA.
So, looking forward to seeing you on the show, all of you.
People are very excited you're here. We'll have a good time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The programme's host, Jay Leno, came in to greet them. He's major news in the States, with the biggest late-night talk show in America. Not that Winnie was overawed.
Scottish Terrier. There we are. They're very forward, these English girls, aren't they?
Aren't we lucky young old people?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I love your show.
And then some actor bloke, who was also appearing on the show, popped in to wish them luck.
Hello, I'm George. Hey guys, how are you? Hey, how you doing? This is George. Nice to meet you. Hello. Congratulations, you guys. Hello.
Norman.
Hi, I'm George. How are you? I hear you're all over the chart.
They're called the Zimmers. They're a huge hit on the internet, and we have 3 of their members will join us tonight. 3 of the younger members.
With the show starting, time for final preparations for the Zimmers.
There aren't too many wrinkles, are there?
You look fabulous. I'm not going to ask you how old.
And I wasn't fishing for compliments. You know how old I am.
No, I don't.
Guess.
82.
Oh, you're love. You are really.
What?
I'm 99.
You're kidding me.
Nerves were beginning to build with the countdown to their appearance on the live show.
Yeah, okay. We do our best, don't we?
I'm Wendy.
It'll be great.
Put this mic on you.
By the way, I was backstage. Yeah. There's only going to be 2 Zimmers coming down.
That's why we booked 3. By the time they get here, we got 1, yeah!
You might want to move the segment up.
No, what?
They're backstage right now going, what the hell? I didn't do it.
It's my jacket.
Oh, you don't have to?
Finally, the Zimmers were called to the set.
Yeah, hold my arm.
Very nervous.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know.
What could go wrong? Now explain the documentary.
Well, the documentary was made because it shows how old people in England are just brushed aside. You know, they're finished, but we're not finished. We've got plenty.
You see, this is to prove that older people can do things.
Yeah.
We don't want to be sweep up, like you're sweeping up a carpet and thrown into a dustbin.
Okay. Are you enjoying stardom at age 99? Do you wish you'd come a little sooner, like 92?
Oh, no.
You can handle it now?
I'm perfectly happy. In fact, I'm having one of the very happiest areas of my life.
Yeah?
It was a pleasure to have you all. Thank you so much.
You guys were fabulous.
Fantastic.
I really need it.
You were fantastic.
Good. Thanks. No, we've done the right thing. We've done the right
You were
thing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. You've done us all proud.
Thank you.
So was George as handsome as you'd hoped?
Oh,
He's handsome. He's really handsome.
pleasant.
Think we made any difference over here?
Well, I think we have achieved our aim. which was to show that people who are old have got plenty of life in them.
And I think it will have a more permanent effect than the temporary one, because it will make people think, after all, well, Granny's not so bad in the end.
As the Zimmers headed back to the airport, there was one last thing Winnie wanted to do before she left America.
What's over there, the other side?
Japan, I think.
Where?
Japan.
Is it? Oh,
Here we are. You ready? That's it. There we are. In the Pacific.
Oh, I've had a foot in the Pacific. Well, would you believe, both feet.
For Winnie, Alf, Norma and the rest of the band, it had been a remarkable journey. The Zimmers had started as a group of disparate old people, but had ended up inspiring a generation.
Oh, isn't it marvellous?